Sagittarius, I hope you are well, or as well as you possibly can be, given the circumstances of existing. It's your girl, Jasmine Kylene, and I'm super happy to join you guys today because we're going to talk about the supermoon in Sagittarius that is coming up on the 14th. Hello, thank you for joining. It is coming up tomorrow, and I'm super excited about it because I obviously, as an astrologer, I always listen to other astrologers and see what they have to say about certain transits, and like there's a lot going on. I mean, if you're alive right now, you can probably feel how much is going on cosmically and how that's kind of bleeding into what's happening. Thank you for joining on a ground level. And so with this particular transit, with this particular full moon in Sagittarius, there's a lot else that's going on in the sky that's like aspecting it in a way where we may feel a lot of like intense emotions and a lot of shifts karmically, and that's great. That's part of the whole scheme of things. However, I just wanted to talk about the beautiful parts of full moon in Sagittarius because I feel like I've watched a lot of people talk about how not only is Saturn retrograde happening, but also like Pluto retrograde is happening. So there's a lot of emotions there, a lot of shifts, Chiron in Aries, Mars in Aries, and that's all important. And I'll definitely mention it or touch on it, but what I do want to say is that this is the first supermoon of our supermoon series. Thank you for joining. Or supermoon season. And so what's beautiful about that is that it's a really, really, really potent energy to work with, especially when it comes to releasing relative to the themes of not only like Sagittarius, but like where this moon particularly is going to hit you via your rising sign. So I'm going to talk about what you may be experiencing with this moon via your specific rising sign. Also, sorry if I sound a little stuffy. I am currently with COVID, by the way. Just like casual side note. If anyone wanted to know how Saturn retrograde is going for me, absolutely have COVID, but I'm totally fine. I'm doing great. I'm just isolated, but yes, I'm going to be talking about how this is going to show up for you via rising sign, but what I want to immediately say is that whatever house it's transiting for you, you're going to have an influx of really good luck and really new energy, new fertile energy to work with. So I'm going to talk about that, how to work with this moon, because like I said, it's a really potent one when it comes to releasing and inviting in relative to the themes of Sagittarius into where it'll be transiting for your specific chart. So let's get into it. I don't know if there's any other intro to say. So yes, the full moon is going to be in Sagittarius. Oh, the moon is actually already in Sagittarius, so it'll be full and exact, I believe, late tonight Eastern Standard Time, so on the 13th. And we're excited about it because it's a supermoon, which means it's in close proximity to the Earth. And so we want to talk about immediately the themes of Sagittarius to kind of understand what the energy that this moon is bringing into our lives looks like. So Sagittarius, if you know any Sagittariuses or if you are Sagittarius, what they value the most in this lifetime is freedom and liberation and also higher learning, right? They're very curious and explorative beings. And so what I really, really, really want to drive in when it comes to working with this moon is when we take those elements of freedom and belief, we really want to look at, because the tea is, I'm going all over the place, but like stick with me here. What can either hold us the most prisoner or the most captive in our lifetimes or liberate us is what we choose to believe in. And this is on a micro level, but this is also on a macro level, right? So if you believe that on a micro level, certain foods are bad for you, right? Because you've sort of been told that like carbs are not a good thing and like we should really be sort of calorically aware. Then you will define, because that's a law that you live your life through, and you'll define many foods as bad and you'll end up depriving yourself of a lot of experience there. And there's a way in which that belief system sort of holds you prisoner to it versus having a more liberated way of thinking in terms of like, you know, food is something to be experienced with, you know, intention and whatever the case may be. But then on a macro level, your belief system could look like, you know, what you define your life's meaning to be, or how much you value work, or how much you value play, or how much you don't value either of those things, right? Like that defines how you experience your life on a day-to-day. So what I think is so important about this moon, especially because with it being in the sign of Sagittarius, it's a mutable sign, right? We have cardinal, we have fixed, and we have mutable. And what's gorgeous about mutable is that it can move in and out of beliefs. Thank you. Thank you for saying looks, because I'm feeling a little bit like nobody look at me. I'm having the craziest breakout ever, but thank you. So yes, what's beautiful about mutable signs is that they move in and out of truths, of experiences, kind of like manifesting generators. They don't stay in a place for too long because they're really enamored by the art of movement. And so whatever comes in, and whatever needs to leave, leaves, because there's an open flow in a mutable person's life. And so when we have a moon in a mutable sign like this, there really is this invitation to allow whatever beliefs you have outgrown or antiquated to move through, but to move out, and also to let that new fertile space be yeah, I guess space to plant new intentions that will take that place. And so what I would invite you to do, and I've shared the journaling prompt on the page, is sort of like really look at what belief systems you no longer want to let your life be orbited around and what you now want to replace that with. So like I said, it can be on a micro level in terms of like how do you respond to food, but also like what is your political belief? Or, do you believe in political parties anymore? What is your outlook on monogamy or marriage? Do you want it? Do you suddenly think that you're a person who wants to shift the way that they look at parenthood in a more nurturing way or in a more resistant way? Whatever the case may be, it's really important. I think what Sagittarius values above freedom and liberation and higher learning is truth. So you really want to look at what are my belief systems, and on a micro, macro level, on a day-to-day, on, a month-to-month, what do I center my life around? Is it true and does it honor my truth? Oh, it's 333 over here. I'm speaking the truth, Lord. But I do want to say that it's so important because when it comes to freedom, you don't realize how much you can be a prisoner to your own belief system until you realize which beliefs are actually mine and which beliefs are actually adopted from upbringing or by societal programming. And with this moon, I think it's such a beautiful, beautiful opportunity to really release what no longer serves who you've evolved into and really take that new space to cultivate and plant new seeds of intention. And when you have in a clarified or succinct way, when you have written down like, oh, this is actually the law that I want to commit my life to pursuing, it becomes so much easier to really like live a life of that truth. So for example, I was having a conversation with someone yesterday and they were talking about how they just like randomly up and quit their job, and they were talking about how because they have really lived a life where they have chosen to devote to God and to like what they believe the Lord to be, like just expelling so much time and energy to work and to capitalism and to feeding a system felt violent to them. And like the fact that they used the word violent was very, very visceral for me, because I recognize the fact that like anytime we act against what our soul's truth is, it really is something that's violent. And so when you're like, why do I feel so much resistance when I need to like get this thing done or see this person or, show up for this way of being that I know doesn't actually honor my truth, is because you haven't taken the time to sit with the fact that like it actually isn't your truth. And once you recognize that and you can like make the new choice of what is my truth and then begin to devote to that, you begin to live a life of more truth, more honesty, which in turn invites in more truth and honesty to find you and mirrors the people, the opportunity, and the experiences that will honor that truth, that vibration. And it's just sort of like part of this evolution of being, what the mutable signs teach us, which is let what needs to go. If you've outgrown a belief, if you've realized that a belief is not yours, let it go. And so, but I think the first step to that is first to recognize what are the beliefs that I orbit my life around in the first place. And you don't really realize what they are until you really sit and ask yourself. And so that can be, if you've placed conditioning on what your worth is and what you need to be or how you need to be, in order to be worthy of a form of partnership or acceptance or validation in your friend groups and professional groups, it's really important to look at like why that is, what that belief is. If the belief says I need to be at a certain weight or at a certain place in my healing journey or a certain blank in order to deserve blank, where did that belief system come from? Where did that belief come from? Where did that law, right? I think when I use the term like government and law, it makes it a more like visible thing to recognize the fact that like I've been abiding by this for a very long time, and I now have the opportunity to liberate myself from the thoughts and ways of being that may have held me prisoner to outdated versions of myself and outdated paradigms and outdated timelines. And if you want to ascend timelines, you have to ascend the belief system that you build your life around. I hope that I'm making sense. I'm saying a lot of words, but I will say that I am going to get into like how this moon is going to breathe new life and fertility and luck into your life via your rising sign. But I think the most important takeaway is really like look at what your belief system is and look at how you can liberate yourself by choosing new thoughts, choosing new truths, and really committing and devoting your life to honoring those truths. So once you've decided, oh, I actually am perfect as I am in this moment, I am enough as I am in this moment, and I get to be unconditionally worthy, every experience that you have is going to be filtered through that lens, and it really makes a difference in terms of like what you tolerate, the boundaries that are much more easier to implement for you, and just everything that comes in alignment with living in that truth. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. What else do I want to mention? Freedom comes with allowance. So yeah, like I said, because Sagittarius, is a mutable sign, it really is a sign that has such a comfort when it comes to letting go, inviting in, and ultimately allowing whatever the cosmic dance is. And so if there's a part of your life that you've really been maintaining a firm grip on control of, which I found to be my love life, I find that like I write the story of what I want to happen in my love life first, and then I just figure out which characters I want to fill the roles. Which is very anti my Sag rising, that just really invites us to look at what happens when we allow life to happen organically, when we don't set the script for life, but rather when we set intention and we trust in the cosmic dance that happens when co-creation is at play, which means you set intention and then you allow and you invite in, and there's so much freedom in knowing that it's taken care of for you and you don't have to control, because control is actually like a trauma response. So in whatever area of your life that is mirrored back to you, really look at how can I allow rather than control. Yes, make those new laws for yourself. I can't stress that enough. Really hyper focus on what makes you an individual. I think that's the beautiful part of like the Sagittarius Aquarius axis. I find that there are two signs that are much more similar than we give them like astrological credit for, and it's because they really value individuality, and I find that to be very beautiful. So look at what makes you an individual, and thus how that individuality makes you unconditionally worthy, and how you can begin to build laws that honor that unconditional worth and unlearn the laws that have challenged what it means to be unconditionally worthy, have placed conditioning on your worth, and have ultimately made you abide by a system that is for somebody else. If you followed laws that have upkept the comfort of somebody else, societally, familially, professionally, in any system that you have upkept with your energy, with your beliefs, with the way that you've showed up, it's really time to undo that and really commit to what is my truth and what are the laws that I can make my truth. So a way, me going about this for so fucking long, a way to like navigate this is to really look at like what is like your master law. Like for example, I'm really choosing and I'm doing everything to commit to living a life where I look at everything through the lens of unconditional love. Myself, everyone around me, every circumstance, every person, everything, every timeline. I want to just be unconditionally loving. And so once that's the master law, everything under that really has to make sure it honors that truth. So I can't feel that way and then place conditioning on when I allow myself to feel good in my body, or when I allow myself to feel proud of my work or my productivity, or when I give myself space to play. So like once you have that master law, really look at, okay, what are the smaller micro ways that I choose to honor that truth? So whether it's because I look at life through the lens of unconditional love, I uphold boundaries that protect my energy against lower frequencies because of how much I unconditionally love myself and feel deserving of preserving my energy, right? Like there's so many ways to go about that. The master law is love. That really is on period, really. And I hope that we all find that. But maybe right now, as you trickle in, your master law is just like, I just want to be happy. Like, okay, well then how your micro law is going to protect your happiness? And sometimes that micro law just looks like unlearning the law that has been in resistance to your happiness. I'm just saying words now. It's just the COVID talking. Let what wants to go, go. Make room for what's to come. Make room for what wants to come in, come in. Free yourself of limitations, particularly from your own beliefs. And yeah, when you have the highest perspective of your life, what do you really want to devote the most energy and time to? You know, Sagittariuses, they are the foreseers. They see the aerial image of everything in a way that's just, yeah, they lead the future because they are the future. In a lot of ways like Aquariuses. I feel like there's so many similarities there. But I say that to say that when you really look at your life from an aerial perspective, what truly matters to you when it comes to your truth? Is it work? Is it advancement? Is it productivity? Or is it experience? Is it exploration? Is it love? Is it presence? You know, really look at like, what do I want to devote my life to in the long run, in the big picture? And then how can I now sort of make a system of belief that honors what that larger picture for me is? I'm going to stop talking about the same thing and go into the rising signs. So if you're a Sagittarius rising, like me, this will be in your first house. So this is all about the self. This is all about shifting how you're showing up in the world, how you're expressing yourself physically, how you're expressing yourself in terms of like how the world experiences you. Just shift in identity. So it's a great time. It's a great time to have new energy flow in there. And I'm feeling that 100%. If you're a Cap rising, this will be in your 12th house. So you really want to look at your relationship with your own intuition, with your own dream world. How are you sort of like limiting your trust in yourself? And I think that was something that I wrote about when I was sharing the journaling prompt about like a new belief system could be I choose to root my choices in my intuitive compass rather than my logical compass, which mind you, I think life really is a balance of both. But if you found that you've been shushing your intuition too much because it's contradicted your logical thinking, it's time to give your intuition a bit more of the forefront, if that makes sense. So that's one thing to sit with. If you're an Aquarius rising, this will be in your 11th house. So this is shifts in terms of your relationship with the internet, with like the friend groups that you're in. You really want to look at, you know, are these spaces that honor my truth and my authenticity? Do I feel like I can be honest and authentic in the way that I show up in my internet spaces, but also in my community groups, in my communal relationships, in my friendships, and really inviting in more liberation there in terms of maybe more expression when it comes to the internet, more true expression, or through the lens of unconditional love, you realize you need to build boundaries around how much you express yourself online, and so you have more discernment when it comes to accessibility there. You know your truth, babe. I'm just giving examples, that's all. If you're Pisces rising, love that for you. This will be in your 10th house of career, so this is a big one. Also divine masculine, which I love, because anytime we have a transit that invites us to revisit our divine masculine, I think we really define what it means to be in a healthy state with our divine masculine. But with that being said, look at your career, look at what you do, and look at either how you value it, if you're living in your truth when it comes to it, all of those beautiful things. If you're a Virgo, nope, that's not true. If you're an Aries rising, this is in your 9th house, which that 9th house is ruled by Sagittarius, it's Jupiter ruled, so it has everything to do with the themes that we just discussed. So travel, exploration, higher learning, ultimately what your divine belief system is, and do you center your life around beliefs that are truly yours or that have been adopted by paradigms that you have vastly outgrown. That's the T. If you're a Taurus rising, this will be in your 8th house. This has everything to do not only with our relationship with like other people's money, other people's resources, but also like power, fear, shadow. So you really want to look at your relationship with your own fear, as well as just like your relationship with allowing yourself to make amends with the darkness that could be within you. Which I'm just going to leave at that, because I would love for you to interpret that however it's coming up organically in your life right now. If you're a Gemini rising, then your 7th house is ruled by Sagittarius. This will be in your house of relationships, which I think is a gorgeous house to really have this conversation with yourself with, in terms of like, how have I held myself back from being just in a liberated space when it comes to what I deserve in relationships, what I actually want for my relationships, what I want my relationships to look like, who I want to be as a partner, and what I want in partnership. Really liberate yourself if you have any old systems of belief when it comes to, just relational dynamics romantically. If you're a Cancer rising, you're probably so adorable, moon ruled, and this will be in your 6th house. So this has everything to do with your health, with your routine, with what you're doing on a day-to-day. And health means physical, spiritual, emotional, mental. So you really want to look at how can I liberate myself, maybe when it comes to either being less controlling of my health and of how I let myself feel proud of what I've done for myself, or being more aware of what I am doing for my health and being more intentional about it. Like I said, you'll know individual cases are individual. If you're a Leo rising, this will be in your 5th house. So this is all about play, creativity, inner child, expression. This is a great house to have this transit in, because honestly, your only homework is just to play as much as possible, to be as creative as possible, to let yourself really experience output from a space of doing to do because it's fun and colorful versus like, I need to do this. Sorry, I just had I was like thinking of 4 things as I was saying that. Also, it's a house that rules romance, so it's a good time to go on a date. It's a good time to let yourself be taken out on a little excursion, am I right? Virgo risings, this will be in your 4th house. This is your house of home, divine feminine, mother, the home that you have physically, right? So you really want to look at like just what your physical space means for you, and if you feel liberated in that physical space, environmentally, but also like your home, but also the home that you have within yourself. And if your beliefs are making you feel like you want to retreat back to yourself, do you feel safe to come back to your own mind? Or do you feel like you almost want to escape your mind, so you distract yourself a lot? Really looking at what is your relationship with the home that you've built within, and is that honored and nurtured? Also reflecting without, like, where am I physically, and does it feel safe? Does it feel like it nurtures my my sense of freedom? For sure. Also would be a great time to like move, maybe. Just a thought. Libra risings, these are the last two. This will be in your third house of communication, of just how you express yourself, how you say your words, what you do with your words, how you output the ideas that you have. So this is a beautiful house to have this transit in, because if you have any ideas that you kind of want to creatively flow out of you, now is the time to do that. It also rules our elementary school years, and siblings as well. So if there are any things coming up relative to those themes, really take this time to survey them. And lastly, if you're a Scorpio rising, I'm probably in love with you, because I've dated so many Scorpio risings in my life. And it is in your second house. So the second house rules your relationship with money. It rules your relationship with what is tangible, what feels secure. And we build security not only in the physical things, but also in ourselves. So you want to look at what your relationship with your own self-worth is like, but ultimately, what is your belief system behind money? Do you find money to be something that, and I think this is something that we all should really sit with when it comes to what our belief system is, and whether it's a learned belief, it's a trauma response belief, or is it a true belief? Because we can really repel money if we stand solid in the belief that money is rooted in evil and it's like the bane of all suffering, or we can realize that money is a neutral thing defined by the intention behind it, and when we make it from a space of love and when we spend it from a space of love, it's beautiful. It's an energy. It's a currency that generates more love. So you really want to look at what your belief system is behind money, why it is what it is, and how you can shift it to be in support of your truth and your liberation. Let me know if I missed any rising signs. I don't think that I did. But yeah, that's the full moon in Sagittarius. I'm really excited about this one. I think we need this because we've been through a lot. We are continuing to go through a lot. And so if we have a transit that's exciting, we should be able to celebrate it and be excited about it. So definitely work with this one. Definitely do some releasing. Write those laws down. Take some time tomorrow with the moon. Light a candle and really get like, what is my master law? What are the micro ways I'm going to really honor that? Really formulate a belief system that is yours. And you can like really get serious about it and like even mirror like the 10 commandments or the amendments, or really like use the same wording if you need to, but really make sure that it's something that your body and mind takes seriously. Like, okay, if the law is that I will look at all situations, people, places, and things through the lens of unconditional love, if I were to break this law, there is some form of karmic punishment, right? And like, don't be scared of the universe. Like, the universe isn't going to punish you. Like, it's not going to hurt you. But really make sure that you are devoted to this way of believing, because if you do that for other laws or other rules, why not do it for the rules that actually come from the core of you, right? And that actually honor your truth, right? So I hope that made sense. I hope that resonates. Thank you all for joining. Oh, hi, my love. You just joined. I'm like piecing out. I hope that you're all well, and I hope that you enjoyed this moon transit. She's a good one. Okay. Bye, everyone. Also, pray for my skin, because this is crazy, guys. Crazy. I haven't had skin like this since high school, mama. Okay, thank you. Oh, thank you. You're my favorite. Okay, bye, guys.